Welcome to Uncovering Spirituality, where we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery into consciousness, energy, and the spirit world. Join us as we delve into the mysteries of spirituality and uncover the universal truths that connect us all. Hello, I'm Kathy Upper, founder of Spiritual Niagara. I'm also the consulting visionary and podcast host for Spiritual Canada. Joining me today is Liz Throp, the soul expert. Liz has been a practicing psychic medium for over 30 years. She's been featured on Canadian television on The Paranormal Show and The Romeo Report numerous times as an expert, and has also been showcased regularly on local radio stations, Giant FM 91.7 and Country 98 FM since 2015. Liz is the recipient of the prestigious Certificate of Recognition as a nominee for the 2021 Niagara Impact Awards. In addition, Liz was the recipient of the Spiritual Excellence Halo Award for Psychic in 2019 and 2022, along with a number of other industry awards during her career. She's a certified life coach, co-founder of Psychic Kids United, and a resource for psychic kids and their parents. She's also the co-founder of Psychic Associates, an educational platform for those interested in developing their own skills and business support for all holisticpreneurs. Founder of the Awakening Ones, an educational platform for those developing their intuition. Co-host of the podcast, The Psychic Jam, a podcast that inspires holisticpreneurs to learn to listen to their inner voice. Co-author of her first book, Inner Peace, How to Find It, Nurture, and Protect It. How to Find, Nurture, and Protect It. You can catch Liz live every week on her Wisdom Wednesday show via Facebook, or her archive shows on Giant TV's The Gifted Ones, a look at spiritually gifted people around the world, and The Insiders with Liz and Amber on YouTube. Liz resides in St. Catharines, Ontario, with her husband, Andrew. She has a daughter, Stephanie, and son-in-law, Brandon, and two amazing grandchildren, Peyton and Warren, to whom she's known as Amma, and her bonus kids, Ian and Allie Throp. Thanks so much for joining me today, Liz, and taking the time out from your busy schedule.
Oh, thank you for having me, Kathy. I'm just listening to that bio. I send it out and when I hear it, I'm like, wow, I've actually accomplished some stuff in this industry. I'm so proud of myself sometimes when I hear it read back to me, like you don't really think about it when you're in it. So yeah, it was neat to hear. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, there's so many things that you're involved in. And you and I have known each other for quite a while now. I was trying to think of when, I remember it was when we did the first, the first psychic medium event for Spiritual Niagara. And I'm not
Was it really
sure.
the first one?
Yeah, that was the first one because
Oh,
it
I
was
didn't know that.
you and Louise and Margaret and Amanda. I think we all met here at my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Louise was the one who introduced me to you. So
yes.
kudos to Louise for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I knew immediately that this was a great space because prior to that meeting, I had only done psychic fairs. And so I only met people like me through those fairs. And when you're at those fairs, you're working. So it's really hard to still even meet people because you're working from morning to night. So yeah, so I did get to, meet a couple of people. Margaret's one of them who I met through the psychic fair, and Louise, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they got me to you. So that was really great.
Yeah. 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 It's so wonderful seeing the connections. I just love
Yeah.
that about I'm a connector, right? I've always kind of defined myself as that. I love connecting
You
people.
definitely are.
Yeah.
100%.
And I see connections, eh? So
Yeah.
yeah. So I really love that. That's my passion.
Love it.
So I'm really excited to talk to you today and have this discussion. And we're talking about the difference between a psychic and a medium.
Yes,
And this has always been of interest to me because I know sometimes people don't know that there is a difference, first of all,
that's
right?
right.
So,
Right.
and then they're unsure, who or what type of reading they want because they don't know the difference between a
That's
psychic
right.
and a medium.
That's right. To kind of put it bluntly, psychic is somebody who sees the future or sees the past. They just know things about you that they shouldn't, right? So how could they possibly? No one was in the room when this event happened. How could they know this? Or they can see a future event, who you're marrying, where your career's going, you name it. Whereas a medium is somebody who talks to the dead. So their primary goal is to talk and communicate with the dead to support you, the living, in allowing yourself to release and let go of the pain and suffering, knowing that they're okay. So they give evidence to people who are still in living, from the dead on the other side in what we'll call heaven. So yeah, that's the primary differences. Now
Yeah,
there's a saying that goes around that says, um, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums.
right.
And
I've heard
that's,
that.
have you heard that? Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's been one of those bone of contention comments to me. And I don't know why, because I was definitely just a psychic. I avoided mediumship like the plague, in the beginning, because like most people, I had a fear of the dead. It's a
yeah,
very, very real aspect to, the one of the main challenges that all of us who are gifted and want to pursue it and utilize it on a regular basis, all of us suffer from fear, right? And
right.
in the fear of the unknown. And Hollywood has done a really great job of putting that fear of Jesus in us, right? Where you see like terrifying things happening, objects flying across the room, blood coming out of walls. I mean, it's terrifying stuff, right? So
Yeah,
we don't want to conjure up anything evil or, how do we know who we're talking to? So, I avoided my mediumship gifts for a very long time. They were always present, don't get me wrong, but I would like sleep with, for example, I would sleep with the TV on so that I didn't hear them. And I would leave that, like TV would be on and it would be loud. So I not only would have a bright light in my room, but I would have a loud noise constantly through the night. And that was the only way I could drown out their communicating with me. And during the day, I think I just kind of ignored them for the most part. So that was a big thing for me. But I think when I think of that topic, that saying, all mediums are psychic, not all psychics are medium. I think if you have the gifts, you have the gifts. And I think that every soul on the planet, Kathy, has the gifts. I think
yeah,
every soul is capable, just like I am, to communicate with the dead and also connect with the past, present, and future of what's going on with another person. And you hear the saying, everybody's psychic, but not everyone's a medium. You hear that as well. And I just don't agree with those terms. I just don't.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I know, like in terms of psychic, I know, like myself, I've done some readings because I did a few classes with actually Sam Black,
Yep.
back a few years ago, and it kind of blew me away that I was even capable of doing that kind of a reading,
Yeah.
when we
Yes.
were practicing it. But I've never had this sense of, hearing a spirit or, I mean, I can talk to my mother very easily, but anything that I'm not related to and I don't know, maybe it's just something I don't want to do. But you know what I can do is I can feel spirits. Like I
A
can
hundred
feel,
percent.
like those chills that you get
Yes.
through you. Like I've had
Yes.
some experiences like that. And then I actually went to a seance once.
Oh,
Uh,
they're neat. They're
yeah,
very neat to
yeah.
to attend.
It's not something I'm really comfortable with, but because
Yeah.
I don't know, because it kind of bothers me using a spirit, as entertainment. Do you know what I mean? Like there,
Yes.
that bothers me. But something really drew me to this. Like it was like I had to go, right? And as this lady was talking about these spirits, she said that she could smell cigar smoke, and I could smell cigar smoke. And she said there's spirits, like there's walking, it's like soldiers, and I could actually feel spirits walking through me, like literally just like
Ah,
walking through me, walking like it
yes,
was and it felt like that. It felt like it was like soldiers. And I think like she was thinking like the War of 1812, like there was this, and I think it was in 2012 or something like that when this actually happened.
that's amazing.
Um, yeah, but I don't hear them. You know what I mean? Like I don't hear a message or anything like that. But that, I kind of wonder, are people's experiences different in that sense? Like when you're a medium, are there different kinds of mediums?
Yes. Yeah. So, well, yes, there are. So you have evidential mediums who see the dead as you and I would see the living. And then there's like the more, well, so like the evidential, that term can be used. People have different terminology, and it can mean different things to different people. So my suggestion is, you know, take what you hear from everybody, okay? And this is what I've always taught. Take what you learn from everybody. If somebody gives you a term for something and or gives you a rule or regulation about something in this industry, take it with a grain of salt. Follow your own path. What works for them may work for them, and works for us may work for us. And so don't be so stringent on rules. I think that was one of the challenges. But back to your question, and then you have mediums who are like me, and I think I'm more the norm than I am more the rule than I am the not the rule. It's very rare to find people who see the dead who are actually like the living. So the way I see spirit is through my mind's eye, through my third eye. I feel them. I use all my clair senses. So um, clair senses are the meaning clair is clear in French. It's a French word for the word clear. And then clairvoyance, for example, is clear seeing. Clear audience is clear hearing, so clear like you're hearing voices, but you're not necessarily hearing voices like you and I are talking right now. You are hearing inner voices, so it's like in your inner ear. So it's kind of like best way I can describe it, it would be like you're having a conversation with yourself inside your head. So you'll hear voices that way, and more often than not, Kathy, they are our own voice. It's not some unworldly kind of random person's voice talking to us. Now, it will happen, it does happen, but more often than not, it's your own inner voice speaking in your own voice that you'll hear, which is very confusing to people. And I think that's what kind of makes people feel like, there's I'm a fraud. I'm making this up. This isn't really real. But when in a sense, it is real. So one of the things that is really neat that I've discovered from spirit is that when we're on the other side, we no longer utilize our voice, like our mouth. Our mouth no longer is of any consequence. They show up in imagery for us with a mouth because that's what we're accustomed to with the body, but everything is done through the mind. So when you'll know this, like for anybody who's had a dream of a loved one on the other side, when they're talking to you, their mouth is not opening. You just hear their voice. You just feel their essence and you feel what they're saying to you. It's not like even, because remember, when we're on the other side, we no longer have a mind either. The mind goes with the body, it's part of the brain, right? So the soul's essence is able to communicate with each other, and you communicate with everybody simultaneously, if that makes sense. So
So
yeah,
I'm just curious, how do you tell the difference between it being like, because it's your own kind of voice that you're hearing, how do you know that it's, grandpa, or
Okay.
or
It's a
it's
great
more of
question.
a future, a psychic reading? Like, how do you tell the
Yeah.
difference between a medium and a psychic reading
Okay.
as a medium?
Okay, so let me start or preface this by saying everyone's going to have a different experience, but my personal
Uh,
experience, right? So
yeah,
everybody comes at it similarly, but they have their little quirky kind of ways of doing it, right?
yeah,
So the way I do it when I'm having a psychic moment, and I teach this because this is something that I think across the board everybody will be able to resonate with. A psychic moment is a very absolute. So and I always use this example. So let's pretend that you're driving out the driveway and you're just halfway down the street and you're like, oh, did I leave the stove on? You ask yourself the initial question. And, or you feel like, I left the stove on, didn't I? And so a psychic moment is immediate. You just know. You don't question it. You just have this higher awareness. Yeah, I left the stove on, or no, you didn't. You're good. You're good. Um, Whereas a fear moment, which is what the majority of people have, is fear moments because we are in the age of living in fear right now.
hmm
Um, we are going to question, did I leave the stove on? Oh my gosh, did I think I may have left the stove on. And I left the paper towel right beside the stove. And then, oh my gosh, right beside that, I had that cardboard box. So what's going to happen? The house is going to catch on fire. And then, oh my gosh, the whole neighborhood's going to catch on fire because I left the stove on. And so we battle ourselves. And I call it pancaking, right? Fear is pancaking.
yeah,
We add to the story,
yeah,
and that's how you know you're in fear. If you're ever questioning, am I in fear, or is this like actually happening? If you're adding to the story, then you're in fear. So you'll notice this when you're in an argument with somebody, right? Because an argument is based on fear. That's all an argument is. I'm in fear of either being wrong or being caught or being,
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
You will pancake on top of the initial argument. So I have an argument, and then I will pancake things on top of that, stack things up to solidify my argument. If I'm absolute and confident in what I'm saying, I just stick with that. Do you know what I mean? So it's something for everyone to be able to use to recognize when we are in fear. And when you're in fear, you need to take acknowledge, like you have to acknowledge that you're in fear, take accountability. I'm in fear. This isn't really happening, and move on. Right. This is one of the things I've had to learn my entire life. I've spent my entire life in fear, I've discovered through the different challenges that I've had in my life. It has put me in a sense of hyper hyper awareness and fear based reality.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
and
No, I hear you there. I
yeah,
yeah, because I find I'm in fear almost all the time because I'm in pain, right? So when
yes,
you're in pain, you're in fear, right? So
yes,
yeah, I know
yes,
what you mean. So yeah, I
yeah.
hear you. It's really hard to tell those differences, like the difference between what is fear or what is like just a message, like you're just
That's right. So
right.
you were asking, how do I know it's grandpa that I'm talking
Yeah,
to?
yeah,
Okay. So when I talked earlier about the clairs. There's lots of different clairs. There's feeling, there's knowing, there's inner knowing, there's inner taste clair. You can touch.
sentient. Yeah,
Yeah, see, there's so many different ways of utilize. So I have been able to really hone my skills on all of those. And so I'm utilizing all of those senses simultaneously. So how do I know it's grandpa? So first and foremost, I may psychically pick up that grandpa's on the other side. So I will say that. And I often will say in my readings, so I'm psychically picking this up, that you've experienced this problem or this challenge, or this person has passed, and I feel like they've passed this way, and I'm not talking to them yet. And there's a difference because when a spirit comes in, I feel them come to me. So I will feel their presence immediately in front of me. And it's usually on my right hand side. I don't know why. Some people say it's on their left, whatever, to each their own. Some will say it's a female on the right, male on the wrong. They'll have their own preference, and that's great. For me, a spirit will, it's sort of like a rushing in, I'll feel their presence, and I'll feel the presence
And
of
are
many
you
spirits.
feeling like energy, or what is like you're physically
Yeah.
feeling something?
Okay. So you know how you've got everyone's got an aura, right? And we understand what the aura is. It's that bubble of energy that presides with only us,
Yeah.
and it's our personal space kind of boundaries. So
Right.
have you ever been in a grocery store and somebody's come right up behind you and you're like, ew, come on, back up. What
Yeah,
are you
you can
doing? You're
feel
in
it.
my space. Ew,
Yeah.
I don't like it. Especially if they're icky people. Or you could be walking and meet a group of people and some new people are there and you're like, immediately you're honing in on their energy and you're like, I really like that person. That person and me are really going to get along great. I can't wait to party with that person or get to know them. Or you may have the opposite effect and you might feel nauseous and like, oh, I don't really like that person. Or you may pick up that that person's not well. You may pick up like illness or whatever. But it's when the two auras collide, you're downloading somebody else's energy. And when you're in this constant a level of awareness, which most psychic mediums that are working in the field are in, we're constantly in a level of higher awareness. When we connect with people, and remember, Kathy, our entire lives are a journey of learning. So even though we may get to a point or a level where we're thinking, I finally got to that place where, I'm confident, I feel good in what I'm doing, you still gotta learn, and there's so much more to learn about you. It never ceases to amaze me the level of things that I didn't have any awareness of. And I'm like, wow, this journey, man, this journey is exciting and it's overwhelming and it can be exasperating sometimes, but it can also be really exhilarating. So, when we have these aura connections, spirit's no different. And I will often say to people, if I was to place you in a room that's closed off and nobody you can't hear anything, you're blindfolded, your ears are blocked, and I was to send somebody into the room, you would know immediately if you knew that person or not. Even though you can't see or hear them, you would know, and maybe plug your nose so you can't smell them, because that's another key indicator.
Yeah.
You would know based on the energy when their aura connected with yours if they were connected to you or not, because you would recognize the energy. Now, where it comes into how does a psychic medium recognize grandpa's energy? I'm connecting to the person, the sitter, and their energy, and the loved one on the other side, grandpa, is coming through, and I'm connecting the dots immediately that this is grandpa. But I'm also connecting to male, age, how he passed, and this is split second stuff. Like it's happening in like split second timing. And I will start to communicate in my mind with that soul. And I'll say, are you grandpa? Yes. Are you, how did you pass? Did you pass this way? Was it heart failure? Was it cancer? And so I will rapidly, like,
So
I
you're
can't
doing
even
that
speak.
in your mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't speak as fast as I can think.
Right.
And it's so split secondy, and the answers are so rapid that I have a complete picture in a second, if that makes sense. So then
Yeah.
I can start to relay what I'm receiving from them. And sometimes they'll talk, sometimes they'll give me feelings, sometimes I'll just know stuff. And I'm like, how can I know medically about this stuff? I've never even heard these terms before. You'll just know intrinsically about things that you shouldn't, right? I can describe houses that I'm in, and obviously that I've never been to, and I can even tell a client, I'm standing at your front door and I'm walking in and I'm going immediately to the right and I'm going upstairs and there's a bathroom on the left, and you better check that sink because I'm really worried about that sink because grandpa's telling me that that's about to go. You know what I mean? So like it's
Yeah.
it's funny how we can do these things. I'm amazed every single reading with
Yeah.
myself. I'm
Yeah.
amazed that I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm never bored of it. And I don't think any of us ever get bored of it. I think we get tired from it. I think,
Yeah, because it kind of drains your energy, I would guess, eh?
yeah, yeah, like mediumship especially. I think that's probably why I lean towards
Really?
more. Yes, I find
That's
mediumship is a lot
interesting.
more draining. And I think it's because spirit requires your undivided attention and energy in order, like they're relying on you
Ah,
to be able to connect. And so they're kind of leaning on you energetically. And I know a
yeah.
lot
So
of
in a sense, they're kind of taking some of your energy, like
and we're
to
giving
to
it to
to be able
connect.
to
I think, yeah, like they're
be
not taking
present.
from us, we're giving it freely,
Yeah,
but it's kind of like plugging into a light socket so they can get energy from us,
yeah,
so they can connect.
yeah. Neat.
Yeah,
Neat.
it is neat. It is
So,
neat.
so if somebody, if somebody's looking for a reading from, a parent that's passed or whatever, then they're looking for a medium.
They're
So we
looking
want
for
to
a
make sure
medium.
that, the person defines themselves as a medium.
That's right.
Whereas if someone's looking for, I don't know where to go in my life kind of thing, right?
That's
Or,
right. That's
what's
right.
my future hold, or
That's right.
what's my
Future
next
and
move?
or I'm dealing with this thing, this repetitive action in my life that I don't know why and where it's coming from, and I don't know why I can't shift in my life. I'm kind of in a rut. One of the things I'm really good at is being able to source the problem, where it started, and then go from there. Because once we know why it's happening, we can then start unpacking and unfolding that, ironing it out, and putting it away properly. I find that if we can face our historical challenges, even our cellular memory challenges, right? Like you're carrying the memory of all your ancestors as well and their traumas and dramas, especially you'll see it in families. Mothers and daughters don't get along. It goes down the line. It just is, it's this historical fate that happens to mothers and daughters down the line, the lineage. So you can unpack that, reconcile with it and stop the cycle, right? So you just need to look at any family, and there's going to be something in that family that is historical, that that somebody is carrying from previous families,
Yeah.
and
And is
and
that
sometimes it's
psychic?
good.
Like, is that a part of being psychic? The ancestry kind of, or is that,
So yeah, I think what you're asking is, can you pass down your psychic gifts? I think that's a very, very prominent gift. That thing that happens is psychics will pass down the gift,
yeah,
and you'll see like they get stronger and stronger and more bolder as they go. Um
like it through the ancestry, so that, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So if
100%.
your if your grandmother or your mother had psychic abilities, then your abilities are even stronger, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it really does come down to whether the soul wants to tune in or not. So, my mother and my grandmother, well, my mother and her mother never practiced, but my mother was very intuitive. And then my father's mother was somebody who was like the village um person that everybody came to download their troubles on. She was just somebody that everybody just she took everybody under her wing and was very sweet, and come and have a cup of tea with me and we'll talk about it. And she was that person that everybody relied on for advice. So she was a psychic, 100%. She was a psychic, but she didn't go under that banner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, but in and then and so I don't know about my history the other way, but my father himself is very intuitive as well. So, but they never practiced the way I do, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm the first person in the family to pick that up. I don't know, there may have been psychics in the past, but the first publicly, I'm doing this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember my mother actually telling me about my, like, her grandmother used to read tea leaves.
Ah.
Yeah. So there's some of it actually in my background, which is
So,
interesting.
that's a tool of the trade, right? Tea leaves are a tool of the trade.
Yeah,
So,
that's the other question I had was, what about card readings? Because a lot of
yeah,
people will say, um, so can card readings be both? I know
yeah,
cards are a tool, right, that
yes,
people
they
use
are.
for readings.
So, like, think of anything, a crystal ball, a pendulum, dowsing wands, anything you can name that helps you connect. It's just a tool. It's no different than a hammer is for a carpenter putting a nail in the wall. You're still doing the same function. The difference is you're utilizing, you're thinking the magic is coming from the cards, but it's not. So the magic's coming from you, right? So we're using the cards. Now, there will be a lot of people complaining or arguing about this. No, 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 no. The cards are but yes, spirit does control um, outcomes, right? So one could say spirit can control outcomes, or one could say that they just know what's coming, right? And so they just happen to be present when they know it's about to show up. So, and I think it's the latter. Personally, I think that everything is predetermined, predisposed to all of these things. This is our life. As a soul, we are here to learn and grow exponentially. Our vibration is to expand exponentially, no matter what cards we are dealt. We have choices, right? We can either, lay down in the fetal position and give up on life, or we can get up or stay in the fetal position, but keep working, right? And we can just keep moving towards expanding our horizons, opening up our vibration and just raising our awareness as to what life is about and what being a human is about, and just trying to show up like in the best version of yourself as you can, with always remembering that you are by default human and therefore will have emotions, and you will have good days and bad days, and we're all not saints, like only saints are saints, and I can guarantee you anybody that's been labeled a saint had bad days too. You know what I'm saying? So we have to kind of go a little easier on ourselves too, because there's so much emphasis on, once I learn to meditate, I'll be so much better. No, no. You're going to carry the package that you have. Your whole soul's purpose is to learn and to grow. So I always remind people, if you're struggling with frustration, prime example, if you have little to no patience in life, how do you think you're going to learn to have patience? You're going to have struggles thrown at you constantly until you finally go, I need to accept these struggles so that therefore I can learn patience, right?
Hmm.
And that's how life
The
throws
universe
us
keeps throwing
lessons.
stuff at you
Yes,
to challenge you in gaining those skills, right?
that's right.
And yeah. So using like divination tools like cards. So if somebody, they want to have a reading,
Yeah.
um, it's can well, let's just say tarot cards. Can tarot cards provide a reading that is both psychic and a mediumship,
Yeah, I would
or
say
is it
yes.
more, yeah,
But it's not the cards. The
it's
cards
depending on who
are
the
it's the
person is that's
person.
doing the
It's the
reading.
person that's doing it.
Ah, okay.
So it's like the wisdom of the cards. So yes, you do study the cards and the meaning behind the cards and where they fall and who they fall beside and all of that good stuff. However, you're utilizing your intuition and awareness, and you're checking at like the way I learned to read the cards when I first started, I used tarot cards for probably about 20 years. It's
Yeah.
only been the last 10 years that I have stopped using
Oh,
tarot.
really? Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard that from other people too.
Yeah.
Other, people that do readings that, they use the cards as a tool, but
It's a crutch.
once you've got, yeah, once
Yeah.
you've got the ability really built up, you don't need the cards anymore.
That's right. And it really what the cards do is they give you confidence because you're like, wow, how did the cards know that? I was asked to be on a TV show, paranormal, and I was like, this, I can't not do this because I promised myself that in my life that I would step towards my fears. Once I realized that I was a fear-based person, I made the decision that no matter what scares me, I'm walking towards it, running towards it. I'm not, unless it's a bear, I'm not going to run after a bear. Not going to be dumb, right? So I will always, anything that scares me that's a challenge, I will step towards. So when I was asked to be on TV, the last time I had been video, like with a video camera, somebody was taking a video for a commercial with a company that I was working for. I can tell you that I froze in front of like I was like I couldn't even say my own name when they had the camera on me, and I was just like and so I knew that when I got asked to be on that TV show, I was like, I have to do this because I wasn't able to do that other thing. It terrified me so much that I just went, you know what, I can't do this. You got to find somebody else. I can't do this. It's just too overwhelming. So when I got on the TV, I said, "Well, I'm just going to bring my cards. Is that okay?" He's like, "What are you bringing your cards for?" And I'm like, "Well, to do the readings." And he's like, "No, we don't have time for that. It's 2 seconds. Like you're going to get asked a question and you got to answer it and give the person their insight and then move on to the next one. We try and get in as many as we can." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." I'm like, "Can I even do this?" And my husband's like, "You can do this. Like you do this all the time. You can do this." And I'm like, "I don't know if I can do this." And he's like, "You can do this. You're doing it. You're doing it." So off we go to the studio. I was shaking, Kathy, uncontrollably, like anybody can imagine. I thought, am I going to have one of those dry mouth moments where I'm like, I can't speak or anything, and I don't know who my name is, and oddly enough, the person who was hosting the show was just so wonderful and loving and kind and generous to me. I felt like I needed to show up for him. And when I did it that way, it wasn't showing up for me, which was a really weird way for me to get around this because
Yeah,
now I know I need to show up for me. But back in those days, it was like, okay, if I do it for them, I have to do it. Like I have to perform. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
was my way of getting around the fear. And I did. And as it happens, now I can be in front of a camera and it's like nothing for me.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
tell you in the
yeah.
beginning,
And you didn't need
terrible.
the cards. So was that the first, like the
That
first
was
time?
my very first time without
Yeah.
cards. Yeah.
Wow.
And I did really good. And I was
Yeah.
like shocked by my
Interesting
by
that
the award.
you were really put under the spotlight your very first time too,
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And I sweat and everything. Like I was sweating. I came out and my clothes were soaking wet. I was so sweaty. And at the end he's like, "You did so good." He goes, "Now if we have another spot come open, would you mind if I called you last minute because you live really close?" And I'm like, You thought I did good? Oh my gosh. Okay, yes, of course I can come again."
Yeah.
Thinking I will never do this again. Like I'm soaking wet. And of course he called me a week
Yeah.
later because somebody had canceled. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was
You
fun.
got to
It
be
was,
talking about Stan, right?
yeah, Stan
Yeah.
Mallow. He
Oh,
was
I just love
amazing.
that guy.
Love him, love him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was amazing. He actually he saw my greatness before I did. Thank
Yeah.
God. So he
He's a
was just really
beautiful
good.
man.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
talked to him before. Yeah. I really like
He
him.
really, really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was fun. And then, of course, and then I had to go on the radio, same thing. But then, of course, by then I felt confident because now I no longer have to have the look. I just have to use my voice, and that's okay. I can do that. I don't know. I had a lot of hangups along the journey. I've always had hangups. And I think that's, the same for almost everybody. A lot of us have hangups, personal hangups, issues with, whatever, the way we look, whatever. But I promised myself whatever scares me or terrifies me, I run towards it now. I
Yeah.
don't,
Good for you.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
and I'll tell you what, Kathy, the best advice I ever gave myself
Yeah.
because now nothing scares me.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I know that anything that I step towards, even if it fails, even if it dramatically falls to the ground and in a big heap, I'm like, I learned from that. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we just have a few minutes left. I just want to recap. So when we're advising people to, who do they want a reading with? if they're, looking again, we've said this already, but if you're looking to talk to, a relative from the past or someone from your past that has passed, then you're looking for a medium.
Correct. That's right.
If you're looking, for your own future advice, then what's the future got in store for me, that kind of stuff,
That's right.
then it's a psychic. And then, in terms of cards, because I know a lot of people really say, I want to do a tarot card reading.
Yeah.
You it and maybe we haven't really touched on this yet because I know sometimes people say, I want to talk to mom, and just thinking, you can't always guarantee that mom's going to come through, right?
That's right. That's right.
People always think that, that's why I want this reading, or
Well, it's funny because I had a reading not so long ago, Kathy, that I'll just share quickly with the folks here, that somebody came to me because their father had passed away and they wanted to connect with their father, but their father had only been passed for about a week and a half when they
yeah,
came to me. And of course, we don't know anything about who is coming to see us. We don't know anything about them. So, um, immediately though, I picked up on the turmoil in her life over and above her father passing. I picked up on her father passing, but I'm like, I think he's only been gone like a week or something. She goes, a week and a half. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting him. He's here, but I'm not speaking with him. What I am here to tell you is, and I went through her personal life and her career in great detail. And she's like, at the end of the reading, she's like, well, I came to you because I wanted to talk to my dad, but I discovered things that I didn't know I needed to know. So I'm
yeah.
really grateful for that. And she goes, I am going to book you again. And then she booked me again about a month later, and it was all dad. So,
Ah,
it
okay.
goes to show you now, my readings, Kathy, are both psychic and mediumship. I
Right.
don't differentiate between the two. I don't do a full mediumship reading because I can't
Yeah.
guarantee that.
Whatever message comes through. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
So
yeah,
mine
so
are a
the same
mixture.
thing for like if somebody wants to do a card reading, they should be looking at how that person defines themselves, right?
That's
So
correct.
are they
Yeah,
saying I'm a psychic and I do tarot readings, or are they saying they're a psychic medium, which is usually how it's termed, right?
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Usually people who only do tarot readings are people who are trying to, they're very intuitive, very psychic, but they're not trusting that within themselves yet. So they only do I only do tarot. I'm just don't call me a psychic. I'm just an intuitive. But really they're psychic. They just don't get that part yet.
Yeah, yeah.
They're in the
Yeah,
early stage.
I think tarot card readings definitely are psychic, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know some people like that's the only type of reading they want too. Like,
That's exactly right.
so it's depending
Yeah.
on the type of reading as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
great.
I think the spirit will take you to who you're supposed to see. I'm a firm believer in, you are going to be drawn to one particular person, and one particular modality, whatever they offer, for a reason. You're going to keep seeing them, or you're going to be on the internet and all of a sudden something is going to come up about them and you're going to feel drawn to that. That's how you know spirit's pushing you, because everybody's going to give the same message. It's just going to be delivered the way you need to hear it by the right person.
Yeah, yeah, the person that you connect with, which is
Yeah.
why, if I can just wrap this up too, why we have the different profiles that we have now on Spiritual Canada, like so people can find you there if they're looking for you as well. But
Yes.
people can read the profile and they can, get to know the person a little bit to see if that's somebody that they connect with. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Perfect.
that's who you want to do a reading with, is somebody that you feel connected to, right?
That's right. Well,
So,
you've got that search engine, so you can put in tarot cards, and then anybody who does tarot will pop up.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
psychic
yeah,
or medium. Yeah. So it's a
yeah.
good way
We
to
have
do the
them,
search.
yeah, through the directory as well. Yeah. So, how else can people find you, Liz?
Thank you so much. If you want to find me, to reach out today, just go to my website, www.lizthrop.com, and that's LIZTHROP.com.
Great. And then I know you're doing your Wisdom Wednesdays on Facebook, so
Yes, thank you
people
for
can
remembering.
find you there as well, right?
Yes, that's right. Every Wednesday, You'll find me on Liz Throp, the Soul Expert Facebook page. So at Liz Throp, the Soul Expert, and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I used to do mornings and nights. I'm only going to do nights now. So yeah, you'll see me there.
Great. Well,
Thanks,
thanks so
Kat.
much, Liz. This is really great. I really enjoyed this
Yeah,
conversation.
me too. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
My thanks to Liz Throp, the Soul Expert, for joining me today. And thank you for listening in. Be sure to subscribe to Spiritual Canada on YouTube and follow us on Spotify. Until next time, I'm your host, Kathy Upper, and this is Uncovering Spirituality.